What is up, everybody? So I am addressing the age-old question: how clean should my clean tones be? I don't think there's a standard for that. It just depends on how you play and what you play and what are the contexts within what you're playing, or what are the parameters around what you're playing. For me, like this tone right here, to me that's a clean tone, but it does break up a little bit. But if I play softer, especially going back and forth between pickups, to me that's really expressive, but it's not necessarily what would be considered really clean. Now, I can make it so it's much cleaner. So now that's super clean, and with a lot of amplifiers, as you start turning them down, 9 times out of 10 you're going to have to reach for your bass control to get it to sound a little fatter. So this is a really, really clean tone. It sounds really sweet. And if that's what you really need, then by all means, go that route. I mean, that's a beautiful clean tone. I guess, and I don't want to call it an argument because it's not an argument, but the reason, or I don't want it to be perceived as me arguing with somebody that wants a really, really clean tone. But to me, where I run into trouble when I've got the amp that clean is I can get it to sound good with like an overdrive pedal. So in this case, I'll leave it the way it is right now. Super clean, and I'll turn on an overdrive pedal. And it sounds good. Maybe I can turn down the treble just a little. Add a little bit of bass. I'm not going to use a lot of gain because I'm trying to give you an example of how the amp sounds in basically this really clean format, as opposed to having a little bit of breakup when you're introducing drive pedals. Now, obviously, the G2 is capable of a lot of gain, but in this case, I've got it dialed with a mild amount of gain. We can go from that back to our clean sound. And it sounds good. It feels a little more stiff to me. It doesn't feel like it's breathing as much. So that's why in my case, I tend to want a little bit of breakup there. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back to about where it was, where it will break up a little bit. And now we'll turn on the overdrive. Now, to me, that feels better. It breathes better. I did have to turn down the low end, and that's something to always keep in mind if you're going to start using more gain to basically the preamp of your tube amplifier. 9 times out of 10, you will have to adjust a little bit on the EQ. You can't just leave it static. So to me, that sounds really nice. Now, just so you can hear what I'm talking about, I'm going to turn it back down to about where I had it, and I'll put the bass back up. And here's how that sounds. Sounds a little bit clearer, but now it's a little brighter. It's not as full in the mids anymore, and it's certainly not breathing the way it did before. Now, I'm not saying it sounds bad, I'm just saying that's the difference. So I'll turn it back up. We'll turn the bass down. To me, that sounds fuller, and there's a mid presence there now. And then, you know, we can adjust accordingly. I can maybe add some more mids, you know, maybe a little more treble. My clean tone has just a slight amount of breakup in it. But it's still relatively clean. And just in my experience, especially when I was touring with Carrie Underwood and I had to learn songs, and what they would do sometimes is they wanted us to learn the exact parts. So they would send us the actual stems within those songs. So I would hear a guitar part that on the record in the mix actually sounded very, very clean. But when I heard it soloed up, it actually wasn't that clean. And what I learned from that is there's a little bit more harmonic complexity there when the amp is a bit more open. And some of the transients that come from just that breakup get, you know, somewhat buried within a mix. I shouldn't say buried, but they're less apparent. And once again, I learned, okay, well, maybe, you know, I shouldn't be dialing things so pristine clean, because that's what I used to do. I would have my pristine clean, and then I'd make my overdrives do all the work. And in this case, you know, I just learned over the years that having a little bit of breakup is actually okay. And in this case, like I said, I'm using, you know, the D20 20-watt amplifier, 6v6 tubes. They love to breathe and be opened up a little bit. Yeah, to me, that's about right, because when I soften up, it stays clean enough, but when I want to turn on an overdrive, so let me know what you guys do and how you dial your amps for pedals, but also what your perception of an actual clean tone is. Is it, you know, just crazy clean, absolutely no breakup? Do you like a little bit of hair on it, a little bit of sizzle? In my case, I do like it to be a little bit more open. If I can get away with it, that's how I run it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.